Howdy friends and neighbors. On our recent visit to the farm on Route 66, I had the opportunity to work with this little filly named Pearl, and what I thought I would do over the next couple of videos is give you an inside look from my perspective and give you my observations as I'm working with Pearl. My hope is that this will help somebody out there in their horsemanship journey find a better way to communicate with their horse. So sit back and relax as I bring you this training session with Pearl through my eyes. Hope you enjoy. Alrighty folks, we're back here at the farm on Route 66 training Pearl. And our original purpose for coming over to the farm was to trim Pearl's front feet. And the next progression in this process is to desensitize Pearl. And when I think about desensitizing, I think about it in terms of pressure. Horses are what I call three-dimensional: mental, physical, and emotional. And they can feel pressure on all three different levels. Pressure to a horse is anything that causes it to move its feet or change position. And our job as trainers is to teach them the difference between what is pressure and what's not pressure. That being said, there's positive pressure. That's anything that I initiate, where I cause the horse to move its feet or change position on purpose. Negative pressure is anything that causes the horse to move its feet or change position when I don't want it to. So I have to teach the horse the difference. And I see a lot of people when they start doing this, they will start out really small and take really small steps and work their way up to where they're finally touching the horse. And what I oftentimes wonder is, are you trying to just get the horse used to, for instance, this stick and string, or are you trying to mentally prepare the horse? What my thoughts are on it, I want to mentally prepare the horse. So I will move things really big, and I will move it back and forth, and then I'll throw it up around the horse's neck. I want the horse to be mentally prepared for things that happen all of a sudden. So when I desensitize a horse, I go at it kind of big and fast because I want to mentally prepare the horse for those surprise situations. At the same time, I am instilling a good release of pressure for her in my continued process of letting her express herself emotionally. I will disengage her hindquarters and then bring her back down emotionally and let her settle. This is a good avenue of release for her. And when we get into a real world situation with a horse, we can shut them down emotionally to where they're not out of control. So I'm not only just desensitizing her, I'm giving her a good avenue of release. Most situations get out of control because the horse gets spooked and they get emotional and then they blow up, they run off, or they buck. If you can get them to become aware of the situation, maybe they spook, what we call spook in place, and we're able to disengage the hindquarters, let them face it, and bring them back down emotionally, then the end of it where they run off and buck or rear doesn't happen. So I'm trying to instill a good avenue of release for her so that she doesn't just run away from her problems, but she turns and she faces it. And that's my process for all horses when I'm desensitizing them. And the more situations that you put a horse in, the better they will become. I call it putting a horse in a out of control situation in a controlled environment. So tarps, barrels, anything that causes the horse to feel pressured, to want to get away, to run, use their natural instincts. And then I can control that situation to where they are put in a position to overcome their fear and overcome their instincts. This is the same philosophy I'm using here. And in a horse like Pearl, her first instinct is to run, is to get away, it's flight. So it's a little bit more physically exhausting because I have to continue my process over and over and over. I cut out a lot of video because it would get kind of boring just watching me follow this horse around doing the same process over and over and over. I call it the paint drying of horsemanship. She finally did pretty good here on her left side, and as I move over to her right side, you're going to see that she has a harder time on her right side. She wants to look at me out of her left eye. She's a little bit more self-confident on her left side, so she wants to look at the world out of that side, and I have to kind of push her over onto her right side so that I put her in a position to focus on me out of her right side. She just is not as self-confident on that side. And it's our job as trainers to notice these things and to adjust our training regimen to help the horse out. The most important concept in horse training is to bring balance on all three different levels of the horse, mentally, physically, and emotionally. We do this in order to have a better horse and to give the horse its best possible life. For somebody to enjoy the horse and for it to go on and to become a good, solid citizen, as I call it, in the horse community, they need to be balanced. An out-of-balanced horse is not a happy horse. I always used to say, better balance, better horse. So if you can find those little inconsistencies in the horse to where they're not balanced, it starts with their feet and goes all the way through to their mind. You have to find those little inconsistencies where they're not balanced and bring them into balance. And that's all I'm doing here. I would rather have a horse move its feet and be focused on me out of one side of its head instead of have it mentally locked up and only focused out of one side of its head. You have to take all those things into account as you work the horse. I think of everything as goals. What am I trying to achieve? And then I don't get tunnel vision on, well, I'm trying to desensitize the horse. While I'm trying to desensitize the horse, I'm trying to bring balance. And all those things have to be taken into consideration. You'll see here that I worked a long time just trying to get her to focus on me out of the right side of her brain and desensitizing the whole time, going through my process of letting her express herself and then bringing her back down emotionally and letting her settle over and over and over. And the payoff is very, very little. She takes and finally stops her feet and lets me take and throw the rope on her, and she's actually looking at me out of the right side. So it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, a lot of persistence, and a lot of consistency that honestly most folks don't want to put the effort in to get those little rewards. I find it really rewarding when I can get the horse to do that, and I can help the horse be a little bit better prepared for the next step, which is going to be working with her feet. I really have to get these processes of thought in place and prepare her on all those different levels for what's coming next. There's going to probably be 2, maybe 3 more videos in this series as we continue working with Pearl, and you'll eventually get to see the payoff As most of you know, I did trim her feet. But these are the processes that I go through with every horse that I train. I just adapt it to the needs of the horse. Every horse is different, and every horse teaches me something every time I work with them. Whether it's about them, about the type of horse they are, a better way to do something, or about myself. I always tell people who are starting out, I tell them horsemanship is a journey. When I first started training horses as a kid, I didn't know anything that I know now. And a lot of the stuff that I learned growing up, I had to forget. And sometimes old habits are hard to break. In 20 years, if God blesses me to live that long, hopefully I'm doing it better than I am now. I just want to always become better, not just at horsemanship, but at life. I hope y'all are enjoying this training session with Pearl. I want to thank y'all for stopping by. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the old notification bell to see what we'll be up to next. And as always, be not weary in well doing, for in due season ye shall reap if you faint not. We'll see you later.